In February of 1938, my grandmother Della sat down to supper alone for the first time in 22 years, and the whole meal had cost her a dime. The men had gone to the sale barn in Indianapolis and would not be home until Saturday. Instead of eating bread and butter over the sink, the way lonely people are supposed to, she took down the smallest cast-iron skillet in the house, the one-plate pan, and built herself a real supper off a 10-cent soup bone. That skillet hangs by my stove tonight, and this video is everything it knows. 20 lost Depression-era meals for seniors living alone. Every one of them scaled to a single plate. Somewhere between her kitchen and ours, people decided that cooking for one is the sad little version of a family supper. Della believed the opposite. A meal for one was the most honest cooking in the house. Nobody to impress and nobody to fool. And the old cooks were better at it than we are. The frozen dinner for one aisle and the delivery apps spent 50 years teaching you that cooking for yourself is not worth the trouble. And then they sold the trouble back to you with a markup on the loneliness. If you are new here, I am Granny Pearl, and this kitchen keeps the old wisdom the supermarket hopes you forget. Spend less and waste nothing. So hit subscribe and pull a chair up, because tonight is for whoever is eating alone. Stay for number 5, which gets fried in a spoonful of fat that will not cost you a cent. And for number 1, which starts with something most kitchens throw away twice a week. Number 20. Eggs on purpose. In 1978, the government put Della's Tuesday Arithmetic in print. USDA Home and Garden Bulletin number 43, money-saving main dishes, laid out the rule of thumb plain. Eggs are the cheaper protein when 8 large eggs cost less than a pound of meat, with moderate bone and fat, like rump roast, or when a dozen cost less than a pound of lean round steak. Della never saw the bulletin. She walked the counter with her list in her apron pocket, priced the eggs against the meat, and built supper around whichever was cheaper that week. Some weeks that meant scrambled eggs at 6 in the evening, and she did not call it going without. She called it good sense, and she said it the way other people say amen. For one plate it goes like this: 3 eggs beaten with a fork, a knob of butter in the small skillet, low heat, and pull them off while they still shine. Well, because eggs finish cooking on the plate, and dry eggs on nobody's supper. Toast on the side, and if there is a tomato ripe on the sill, slice it and salt it. 5 minutes start to finish, and the protein on that plate holds its own against the roast at 4 times the money. Try it at the store this week. Price 8 eggs against a pound of rump roast and see which way it falls, because most weeks it falls the same direction it fell in 1971. Eggs for supper was never giving up on cooking. It was arithmetic you could eat. Number 19. Liver and onions. In 1832, Lydia Maria Child wrote in The American Frugal Housewife that liver was much despised, and then told the truth about it. Well cooked, it is very palatable, and it is the cheapest of all animal food. Nearly 200 years later, both halves still hold. The despising is why the price stays down, and the price is why Della bought it without one word of apology. Here is how she tamed it. Soak the slices in cold milk for 30 minutes, which draws the sharpness out. Dredge them in flour, get the fat in the skillet good and hot, and fry them with a whole sliced onion until they are cooked through, no pink left in the middle. Buy it fresh and cook it within a day or 2, because liver does not wait the way muscle meat does. And if bread liver is more than you want to argue with, ask for chicken livers instead. They are milder, they are often cheaper still, and half a pound, with those onions spooned over, is a full plate for one, with the other half waiting for tomorrow. Other people's squeamishness has been holding that price down since 1832. I say, let them keep at it.
Number 18. The pot of beans.
Della kept a sack of navy beans in the pantry, the way other people kept a savings account. It sat on the second shelf of the cellarway, behind the door, and it got her family through more than one February. A cup and a third of dry beans carries the protein of 4 servings, and when you live alone, that is not a crowd supper. That is tonight, and 3 more nights you will not have to think about. Soak them overnight in cold water. Drain them, cover them fresh, and let them simmer until they are completely tender, 1 to 2 hours, with an onion and whatever bacon end or ham bone the week left you. Salt them well at the end, not the start. One thing I will say straight because it matters. If you cook kidney beans, boil them hard for the first 10 minutes before you let them settle to a simmer. Undercooked kidney beans carry a natural toxin, and soft all the way through is the only safe answer. The rest of the pot goes into the refrigerator and waits for you, and you will meet it again before this list is over, in a better dress than you left it in. A pot of beans does not rush you, and it does not leave early. That is more than I can say for moose company. Number 17. The 3 supper chicken. Della could make a Sunday chicken last until Wednesday, and the size of your household does not change the trick, only the size of the bird. Buy the smallest whole chicken in the case, 4 pounds if you can find one, and roast it plain on Sunday. Salted well, in a hot oven until the juices run clear. You eat the hot thigh and leg with whatever vegetable was cheap that week, and you do not carve 1 bite more than you want, because carved meat dries and uncarved meat keeps. Monday or Tuesday the bird comes out cold, sliced off the breast with mustard and bread and a pickle, and I will stand behind this. Cold roast chicken eaten in your own kitchen beats half of what a restaurant will carry to your table. That is 2 suppers. The third one is hiding in what most people scrape into the bin. When the bird is picked, every bone, the back, the neck, the wingtips, the lot, slides into a bag in your freezer. Do not dare throw those bones out. Number 1 on this list is coming for them, and when it arrives you will understand why my grandmother treated a picked carcass like a paycheck she had not cashed yet.
Number 16.
Loaf night. In 1942, with the country rationing, the USDA put out Farmer's Bulletin 1908, Meat for Thrifty Meals, and it said out loud what depression kitchens had known for a decade. Well-seasoned crumbs and stuffings are extenders, and the cheaper cuts take to them beautifully. Meat was the flavour, not the meal. That is the single most useful sentence I can hand a person cooking for one, and half of tonight's list is standing on it. Loaf night proves it. 1/4 pound of ground beef, the cheapest in the case. A handful of soft breadcrumbs soaked in a little cold milk. That is Della's trick, because soaked crumbs hold the moisture, and the loaf reheats without shame. 1 egg, minced onion, salt, and whatever dried herb is open on your shelf. Mix it light, because a squeeze loaf is a tough loaf. Shape 1 small loaf and bake it until it is browned on top and cooked through the middle. Tonight you eat it hot, with the pan juices spooned over. Tomorrow the second half comes to the table in a sandwich, cold and sliced thin, and the card in Della's recipe box was right about it. The second meal is just as good as the first. 2 hot suppers off 1/4 pound of beef, and nobody has ever tasted the crumbs doing the stretching. Number 15. Patty night. Same 1/4 pound, different week, different rhythm. Monday on that farm was wash day, and wash day wanted a supper that cooked faster than the kettle. So, the ground beef got mixed the same way. Crumbs, egg, onion, salt, but shaped into 2 small patties instead of a loaf. One went straight into the hot skillet and was on the plate in about 5 minutes. Della kept the other cold in the icebox overnight. Yours goes onto a saucer, covered, on the coldest shelf of the refrigerator, 40 degrees or below, and gets cooked fresh the next evening. Ground meat keeps a day or 2 at most, so patty night is always 2 nights close together, never a maybe next week plan. The difference from loaf night matters. The loaf reheats. The patty cooks fresh both times, 5 minutes from cold shelf to plate, with all the thinking already done on Monday. Della finished the washing, fried her patty, and sat down to eat while the linens were still swinging on the line. Number 14. Bread pudding, child again, 1832. And I will give you her words because they are the whole method. As far as possible, have bits of bread eaten up before they become hard. And if they harden anyway, let them dry to be pounded for puddings or soaked for Brewis. So Della kept a drying rack for the week's bread ends above the warming shelf where the stove's heat did the work, and when the pieces wrang dry, she pounded them fine with the bottom of a bottle and kept the crumbs in a lidded jar on the counter. Mark that jar, because you will see it twice more before number 1. Pudding is the sweet end of it. A scoop of dried crumbs, milk to soften them, 1 beaten egg, a spoonful of sugar, cinnamon or nutmeg, into a small buttered dish, and baked until it is just set in the middle. It makes a warm sweet, sized for 1 person, from bread that had already been given up on. There is a crumb jar sitting on my own counter tonight, and I topped it up this morning. Della made this pudding on Sunday afternoons in winter, and she made it whether or not anybody else was home to smell it. A warm sweet made from saved bread tastes like being looked after, even when you are the one doing the looking. Number 13. The egg flat week. Child put it flat in 1832. It is bad economy to buy eggs by the dozen, as you want them. Eggs run cheapest in early spring, and again in the middle and last of September, and the price between the spring low and the winter high still swings 20 to 30% in a normal year. Della's answer was a crock of lime water in the cellar, eggs laid down by the dozen in the spring flush and lifted out all winter. I will not teach you that one. It is history now. The yolks redden, and the refrigerator has won that argument fair and square. What I kept is the timing. When eggs hit their spring dip, and again in September, buy an extra flat and refrigerate it, 40 degrees or below, with the older flat rotated to the front, so nothing lingers. For those weeks, eggs stop being the fallback and become the plan. Scrambled, the way number 20 taught you. Boiled and quartered over the salad. Fried in butter and laid over the top of a plate you will meet at number 4. April you does the buying, and come the expensive months, April you has already thought of everything, and all you have to do is open the door and say thank you. Number 12. The braise. Child called the thick part of a thin flank the most profitable part in the whole ox. Not so handsome as the fashionable pieces, and in 1832 it ran 2 cents less on every pound. The gap never closed. The forgotten cuts, chuck, shank, neck, flank, still run 20 to 40% under the loin at the same counter, and there is a question that unlocks the whole case. Ask the butcher what is moving slow this week. Slow movers get marked down, and slow movers get offered as soup bones. That one question was half of my grandmother's shopping, and butchers answer it honestly, because nobody has asked them in years. Take a small piece of chuck or shank, brown it hard in a little fat, add water or stock and a bay leaf, Put the lid on and hold it at a bare simmer. Now leave it alone. These cuts want 2.5 to 3 hours, and a braise that looks done in 1 hour is lying to you. Poke the thickest part with a fork, and if it pulls back, give it another half hour, and check it reaches 145 degrees before it comes to your plate. What you get is the most tender supper in this whole video, off the cheapest meat in the case, and a pot of dark liquor underneath it that is worth more than the meat. Numbers 11 and 10 are both living in that pot right now. The handsome cut and the forgotten cut come off the same animal. One of them is priced for your eyes and the other for your supper. Number 11. Next day soup. Della had a saying about the braise pot. Tomorrow's soup is already made. She meant it word for word. That dark liquor under the meat took 3 hours of slow collagen to build, and pouring it down the sink is pouring out a finished supper. So the day after the braise, the pot goes back on the stove with a little water to loosen it, a chopped carrot, a potato, an onion, or whatever the bin offers, and it simmers, only until the vegetables give. A few shreds of yesterday's meat dropped in at the end if you saved them, and on that farm they were always saved. Salt it, taste it, cut bread for it, and carry the bowl to the table while it still steams. Number 10. Shepherd's Pie Day. Della had a name for the third day of any stew, and this is why the word leftovers never crossed her lips. In her kitchen, nothing was ever left over. It was the start of the next thing, and the third day was Shepherd's Pie Day. The government agreed with her. The USDA's radio homemaker, Aunt Sammy, gave the method out to farm kitchens across the country, and it went into the printed collection of her recipes afterward. Grease a baking dish and cover the sides with a thin layer of seasoned mashed potato. Aunt Sammy sized hers at 2 quarts. You and I size it at 1 small deep dish, or the 1-plate skillet itself, which is what Della used when she was cooking for herself. Line the dish with the potato, bottom and sides. Fill the middle with yesterday's stew or braise meat. Top it with more potato, and here is the finishing trick off Della's card. Brush that top with a little milk before it goes in, and it bakes to a pale gold crust that looks fussed over. Into a 400-degree oven until it is browned and hot all the way through, and hot means hot, 165 degrees for reheated meat, and never let the assembled dish sit out past 2 hours. Now, the frozen aisle will sell you a shepherd's pie for one in a black plastic tray with a film lid. Understand what you are paying for there. The single serving was never their invention. The markup was. It comes to the table looking made on purpose, because it was. Everything in her kitchen was. Number 9. Milk vegetable soup. Every week leaves a person odds and ends. A spoonful of peas, 2 boiled potatoes, the last of Sunday's carrots. Most people rinse the pot and threw those bits out, and Della never did, because a handful of cooked vegetables and a splash of milk were already halfway to supper. The method sits in that same printed USDA collection. Milk vegetable soups are cooked vegetables, chopped, in milk slightly thickened. Melt a tablespoon of butter, stir in the tablespoon of flour until it is smooth, whisk in 2 cups of milk, and stir it over medium heat until it just thickens. Drop in the chopped vegetables, warm them through, thin it with more milk if you like it lighter, and season it properly, because an undersalted milk soup is a sad thing, and an oversalted one is worse. 2 honest rules ride along. Cooked vegetables are fine for this inside 3 or 4 days, no longer. And once the milk goes in, it is a fresh dairy dish, so eat it within 2 days. I cook for one most nights now myself, and this is the pot I reach for more than any other. It takes 10 minutes, it costs nothing you had not already bought, and it turns the weak stragglers into something hot with butter in it. A supper made from what the week left you, and it does not taste like leftovers. We settled that word at number 10.
Number 8. The chowder.
Same white sauce as number 9. Different night, different spoon. Hold back some of the milk, let the sauce stay thick, and load it heavier. Cubed cooked potatoes, corn if you have a can of it. That bacon end from the bean pot fried and crumbled over the top. Let it go slow on low heat until it is thick enough that the spoon leaves a trail across the pot, and grind black pepper over it. Della made the thin soup on a plain Tuesday sort of night, and the chowder when the weather turned mean, and the whole difference between them is how much milk you hold back and how much you load in. She served it in the deep bowls, the ones that hold heat, with bread and butter alongside, and she took her time over it.
Number 7. The neck bone supper.
Child priced this one exactly. That part of mutton called the rack, the neck, and a few of the rib bones below, was 4 or 5 cents a pound in 1832. Cheap because nobody fashionable wanted to be seen buying bones. Della's sister June wanted no part of fashion. She fed a table twice off one rack, once as broth and once as meat, and the trick scales down to one plate without losing a thing, because bone-in neck cuts of lamb are still among the cheapest per pound at any butcher counter that carries them. They are rarely in the display. You have to ask, and asking is free. Buy a pound or so of lamb neck, cover it with water, add a carrot, an onion, a potato, salt, and hold it at a low simmer for at least 90 minutes until the meat is falling off the bone, and then you eat it the way June served it, in 2 courses. First the broth, hot in a cup, with bread for dipping. Then the picked meat over the vegetables it cooked with, a little salt over everything. 2 courses, 1 pot, 1 person. And it makes an ordinary Tuesday feel like it has a first course and a main, because it does. When you are done, the picked bones do not go in the bin. Set them aside, because number 6 is next. It is short, and it is entirely about them. 4 or 5 cents a pound in 1832, because nobody wanted it.
It fed June twice in an evening because she did.
Number 6. The second boil. The bones from number 7 have 1 more shift in them. Back into the pot, covered with fresh water, a bay leaf, and any vegetable scraps on the counter, and simmered another 45 minutes. What comes off is too weak to serve as broth on its own, and Della knew it, and that was never the job. It is the cooking liquid. A half cup of rice simmered in it, with butter and salt, comes out tasting like it was cooked in somebody's kitchen instead of a pot of tap water. And that bowl of rice is a plain, decent supper all by itself on a night you want one. Beans take to the second boil the same way, and so does a handful of barley if your shelf runs that direction. Della never asked a bone whether it was finished. She told it. Number 5. The crumb-crusted fish. Remember the jar from number 14. Here is its second appearance and the payoff of a promise from the top of this video. Take whatever fish is cheapest and freshest at your counter that day. 1 fillet, enough for 1, and do not be proud about which fish it is, because the crust is doing the dressing up. Wet it, salt it, enroll it in the dried crumbs from the jar until it has coated all over, pressing so they hold. Then into the hot skillet it goes, in 1 spoonful of saved fat, and it fries until the crust is deep gold on both sides and the fish flakes when you press it with a fork. Supper in under 10 minutes, with a crust the fish counter would charge you extra for. That spoonful of fat is the one I told you about at the start, the one that will not cost you a cent, and I am still not telling you where it comes from. It is waiting for you at number 1, and by the time you get there, you will already own some. Number 4. Beans and an egg. The bean pot from number 18 has been sitting patient in your refrigerator, and this is its best evening. Ladle the beans into the small skillet and let them heat through until they bubble at the edges. Then either stir a beaten egg through them for the last 5 minutes on the stove, or fry an egg in butter and lay it right on top with the yolk still soft, so it dresses the beans when you break it. That was in the government's bulletin too, plain as anything. Add the egg and the protein of the whole plate climbs, and the meal looks finished, not frugal. And that word, finished, is the reason this one sits up here at number 4 instead of down with the pantry suppers. Della set a full place for herself on the nights she ate alone. Plate, fork, napkin, the salt where it belonged, the same as if company were coming, because as far as she was concerned, company had come. Beans with an egg on top, eaten at a set table, is a different supper than beans eaten standing over the stove, and it costs exactly 1 egg more. Frugal is how it was made, finished is how it looks. At a table set for 1, you are allowed both. Number 3. Brewis. This is the oldest word in tonight's 20 and the plainest supper on the list. Child printed it in 1832. Bread ends soaked for Brewis, and the dish was old even then. Take the crumb jar down for its last appearance. A good handful of dried crumbs in a bowl. Heat milk with a fair knob of butter and a pinch of salt until it steams. Pour it over and let it stand a minute until the crumbs drink it up soft. Eat it hot with a spoon, at the table or in the good chair, and nobody will come asking which. That is the whole recipe, and I want to be straight with you about what it is for. There are nights when the quiet in the kitchen gets loud, nights when you are tired in a way sleep does not fix, and the thought of cooking anything at all feels like a hill you are expected to climb before you are allowed to rest. Della had those nights too, more of them than she ever said out loud, and Brewis is what she made on them, because it is warm, it is soft, it costs pennies, and it can be in the bowl inside 5 minutes. Brewis is the supper that asks nothing of you. It does not even need you to be brave about it. Now, before the last 2. Everything Della left me, tonight's 20 and about 100 more of her methods, is written down in the little book we keep at frugalpennywisdom.com, if you ever want it on paper next to the stove. It is there if you want it. Tonight's are yours either way. Number 2. Soup day. There is a quart of something waiting in the refrigerator of this story, and for the better part of a week it makes you rich. Monday, a cup of it, heated through with bread and butter alongside, and that is lunch. Wednesday, a handful of rice, simmered straight in it until tender, and that is supper. Friday, a chopped carrot and an onion cooked soft in it, the last shreds of the week's meat dropped in at the end. And that is a soup with your name on it, better than Tuesday's version because it sat and got acquainted with itself. Same quart, 3 different meals, no 2 of them alike, and none of them asks for more than 10 minutes of your standing time. Use it within 3 or 4 days, and freeze whatever you will not get to, and it keeps. Every spoonful of it starts in the same place. That place is number 1. Number 1. Broth day, the pot of broth from 1 saved bone. This is what Della cooked the February night in 1938 when the house went still. This is where her dime went, and this is the meal that starts as nothing and feeds you all week. Go to the butcher counter and ask for soup bones. They run 10 to 15 cents a pound at most butchers even now, because there is no fashion in a bone, and if you kept the chicken carcass from number 17 in your freezer, you have already paid nothing at all. Child wrote it down in 1832. Bones from which the roasting pieces have been cut may be bought in the market for 10 or 12 cents, and from them a very rich soup may be made, besides skimming off fat for shortening. Read that sentence again slowly, because every clause of it is a meal. Bones into your biggest pot, water to cover, 1 onion, 1 carrot, salt. Bring it to a bare simmer and hold it there 2 to 3 hours while you do something else with your afternoon, because this is a supper that cooks itself and only wants checking on. Then come the 2 harvests. First, skim the fat off the top into a cup and keep it by the stove. That is the spoonful that flied number 5, free shortening for weeks, exactly as child promised, in the same breath as the soup. Second, strain the broth, and you are holding a quart of the same thing the store sells in a carton for $2 or $3, except yours has a bottom to it. Cool it promptly, into the refrigerator. Use it within 3 or 4 days, or freeze it and let it wait. That quart is number 2's whole week. It is the braise liquid at number 12 the next time around. It is a rich soup on a cold Sunday, with nothing added but bread, which is close to what Della ate that February night, because that night she simmered her dime bone on the wood stove, warmed her supper in the smallest skillet, set her 1 place at the table, cloth napkin and all, and ate rich soup in her own good company. Not because she had to that week, because she knew what it was worth, and because she had decided, a long time before the house ever emptied, that her own company was worth cooking for. A dime, a quiet kitchen, and a pot that turned nothing into a week of suppers. That was not making do. That was knowing how. So put the list down for a minute, because here is what I actually made this video to say. Cooking for yourself is not a chore you have earned the right to skip. It is company. It is the sound and the smell of somebody looking after you, and when you live alone, that somebody gets to be you. The dinner for one aisle was built on the hope that you would never figure that out. Della figured it out in 1938 with a dime. Her smallest skillet hangs by my stove, the 1 plate pan, and it has never once meant lonely to me. It means somebody in this house is worth cooking for tonight, and the somebody is me. So take 1 thing from tonight's 20, just 1, and make it this week. Set the full place while it cooks. Fork, napkin, the salt where it belongs. If it's just you at the table tonight, tell me what you're having. I read every single comment, and I mean that. This is Granny Pearl, and I will leave the porch light on for you.